The next exercise that I'm going to demonstrate is an inverted row and some of its variations. Now, an inverted row can be done on a TRX, it can be done on these rings, it can be done on a Smith machine or with a bar set up in a rack. There's tons of different variations. We like the rings because it gives you a little bit more freedom of movement for your grip, and also because it works really well in a class setting. So inverted row, the cool thing about this is that you can modify how difficult it is almost instantly on the fly. So the farther you walk down, the more difficult it is because the more of your body weight you're lifting. If you think about it, if you're standing right here rowing, you're not really rowing anything. Well, if you lean back a little bit, okay, now you're starting to have to pull some of your body weight. If you walk your feet all the way down, you're having to pull most of your body weight. We see a lot of people do the inverted row, especially women, using too much of their upper traps and putting their elbow and shoulder in a really poor position. So they don't know how to have their shoulder blades glide properly over their rib cage, so they kind of just whip their elbows back and shrug their shoulders. So what we like to see is to start with a grip where the palms are facing the floor, and actually to externally rotate the hands so that when you end at the midpoint, that your palms are facing each other. We find that that helps people get their shoulders back and down and squeeze their shoulder blades together. You want to stay really tight. There's a tendency to kind of thrust through the midsection to get a little bit of momentum to get yourself up at the top. And we also find people leading with their head a little bit. I struggle with that one. Again, your head wants to go where your body's going, your body wants to go where your head's going. So a lot of people kind of throw their head forward to do this. So there's a couple of common mistakes that you see. The basic inverted row, you just grab the handles, walk yourself down to where you feel comfortable, and you're gonna pull your elbows right by your side and squeeze your shoulder blades together, squeeze your upper back. If you wanna make it more difficult, you just walk your feet down more. If you wanna make it a little bit easier, you can bend your knees. That'll take some of the weight off. The whole time, you should be shooting for your ribs down and your glutes tight. The way that we teach an inverted row to someone who hasn't done one before, this is a great beginner level, but can also be used for people who are a little bit more advanced, is to get them in the midpoint position before they start adding any of their body weight. So get in the midpoint position, shoulder blades back and down, get your hands where they would be, and then walk yourself down and just hold it. So they can feel what it feels like to use their mid-back to pull their shoulder blades back and down without having to lift their own body weight first. So the static inverted row or the inverted row hold is what I just demonstrated, just pulling your shoulder blades back and down. You have the regular inverted row. You can do it with your legs straight or with your knees bent. And if you want to make it more difficult, you can always elevate your feet onto a bench. So the other nice thing about the inverted row is if you get tired, you can walk your feet back. So in the middle of the set, I might get a few reps down here, and as I get tired, I can just walk my feet back and instantly make it a little bit easier so I can do my whole set with good form. So that's the inverted row and all of its variations.